Struggle with panic attacks or panic disorder, and you find yourself wondering, why does this keep happening? They just seem to come from absolutely nowhere. I don't even feel that anxious anymore, but yet my panic attacks still come out of nowhere. If so, then I'm going to break down why that might be and what might be keeping you stuck in the cycle. This is something that I see a lot of people struggle with in this community. And when a panic attack hits, it's really common to think, well, I need to know what caused this. Even if we don't particularly feel anxious anymore, the panic comes and goes. There's this search for, well, what caused it? And that is actually the thing that's keeping us stuck. When we say, I need to know what caused this, usually that is secret code for, I need to know what caused this so that I can prevent it from happening again. And the truth is, we don't need to know what caused it because we don't need to prevent it from happening because we don't need to fix it. A more productive way to approach this would be to ask yourself, well, instead of searching for the thing that caused this to try and eliminate that from my life, what can I do whilst I feel this way? What can I do whilst I'm panicking? It's not about avoiding the feelings, but being willing to face them. And every little step away from how you currently deal with panic attacks counts. If you're constantly scanning, checking, or trying to manage your thoughts or bodily sensations, you're going to be on edge a lot of the time. And this hyper-awareness almost guarantees the next panic attack. And the more you resist anxiety and panic, the more likely that it will persist and come back. And sometimes it might feel like panic attacks come from nowhere, but in reality, there's always a part of you that is on guard and hyper-vigilant towards the next panic attack, scanning for signs of trouble. Even when you're not actively thinking about panic, some of your attention is sort of evaluating your internal state. Now, panic attacks can be set off by things as simple as thoughts or bodily sensations that we don't particularly like. But here's the thing, if you revolve your entire life around trying not to panic, then it's not really a surprise when the next panic attack shows up. It's become essentially a part-time job, and the next panic attack that seemingly comes from nowhere is a direct result of that. You might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't know why this keeps happening, and that is frustrating and very valid. However, you do need to be cautious. When you feel better, don't fall into the trap of trying not to panic again. That kind of mindset and attitude only reinforces the cycle of panic and panic disorder. It's easy to view panic attacks as something that's ruining your life and something that you need to try and prevent because maybe you feel as though you can't cope whenever you feel panicky. However, that attitude toward panic attacks only burns up more of your energy and is going to keep you stuck in that cycle. Have a think about how much of your daily routine currently revolves around trying to avoid feeling anxious or having the next panic attack. If you spend your time constantly evaluating activities with thoughts like, well, what's the point? I'll just feel anxious, or I'll just panic if I go and do this thing, or I hope I can do this thing without panicking, then the panic doesn't come out of nowhere. It's something you're actually preparing for, even without really knowing. The most important part to remember is that it's the scanning and the checking that keeps us stuck in that cycle of panic. Yesterday's panic attack feeds into today's panic attack, and the more you try and figure out why this happened so that you can prevent the next one, then the more you're going to keep yourself stuck in that cycle. The truth is, random panic attacks might still happen from time to time. This could be for a number of reasons. Maybe you're particularly stressed or you've had a lot going on, but we don't need to frantically search for why did it happen. We don't need to fix it because we don't need to prevent it. And the more willing you are to let it happen and trust that you can handle it, the less often the panic attacks will occur. Ultimately, people stop having panic attacks or break out of the cycle of panic disorder, not by trying to avoid them, but by allowing them to happen without that resistance towards them. We need to let go of the belief that panic is the worst thing imaginable. A lot of the time people have this belief that, I won't be able to handle it. The reality is, you can handle it. You have handled every single panic attack so far. Yes, it has been really uncomfortable and not particularly nice, but you have handled it and you have got through it, and you will be able to handle the next one. This is where bravery and courage comes in, doing the scary thing without constantly checking in on how you feel or trying to stop the feelings of panic. Each step you take away from the urge to control it really does matter. If you do find yourself panicking again, that doesn't take away from the progress that you've made. It's not a failure. Feeling certain emotions doesn't erase the progress that you've made or the lessons that you've learned.